Dogs humping things and dropping F-bombs? Sign me up. Where can I see this? You can see this. It's called Strays. Christy and Tim Grierson here with a review of this extremely late summer comedy, extremely R-rated comedy, which I have to admit I was a total soft touch for because we have a Boston Terrier. And his name is Baxter. And I've always wondered what he would talk like. If he could talk, like how would he sound? Would he sound like Jamie Foxx going on profane tirades? Like that's my dream.
This motherfucker right here.
What you want? Huh, homie? You little bitch-ass friend with the motherfucking home perm and shit.
What did you just say?
There you go,
I would
Reg.
hate for this to get violent.
I feel like you should have recused yourself from reviewing this movie because you're in the tank
Totally.
for big dog. So
Totally,
I just feel
right.
like you can't.
I'm in the tank for little dogs that think they're big dogs. That's what it is.
That's
Anyway,
right.
Either way, you should subscribe because we have really insightful film criticism like this for you here as we get out of summer and into all the big important stuff once fall comes. We're here for you for all of it. So yes, Strays, the latest talking dog movie. It's intense. It's a lot. If you've seen the trailers, you pretty much have the idea. Will Ferrell voices this very sweetly, adorably scruffy border terrier named Reggie. He's essentially Buddy the Elf in dog form. And he's just like enthusiastic about everything and so psyched to have his owner, who is a horrible human being played by Will Forte, throw the ball as far as he possibly can to then have to go and get it and bring it back. He thinks he actually is playing. And so he has no idea that this guy doesn't want him. He's an awful human being. One day he actually does get dumped in the middle of nowhere, and a Boston Terrier named Bug, voiced by Jamie Foxx, befriends him and shows him how to function in the world as a stray. And it's actually not bad, right? Because there's scrap night and you get to hump yard gnomes, and it's a freeing existence. No one puts a collar on you. No one makes you do anything. The world's whatever you want it to be. Reggie realizes, oh, this guy didn't love me at all, and I've got to get my revenge by biting off his penis. And that basically is it. They get help from an Australian shepherd named Maggie, voiced by Isla Fisher, and a Great Dane named Hunter, voiced by Randall Park, who is wearing a cone of shame the whole time for reasons that we learn about later on. And it totally upends all of the wholesome, heartwarming, doggy adventure movies like A Dog's Purpose, Lassie Come Home, right? Dogs have to face impossible odds to get back where they came from. This takes all of those notions and just totally upends them. It's directed by Josh Greenbaum, who also did Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar a couple of years back, which was our LA Film Critics Association winner for Best Production Design. Don't forget that. But while this is a really different movie, I feel like it does sort of the same thing with balancing really bizarre off-kilter humor with a fundamental sweetness. Like at its core, this is a movie about toxic relationships and learning to identify and escape from them and learning to love yourself and like basking in the warmth of friendships you didn't expect. And I will admit, I was a soft touch going into this. I got teary-eyed a few times. There's some sad stuff here, you guys, if you're a dog person. So Tim, I know, does not agree with me at all because he's cold-hearted and cruel.
And now playing the role of the Grinch will be Tim. There is funny stuff in the movie, and I can appreciate everything that you just said about like what the movie's about and what makes it work. I just didn't think it was funny enough, first of all. And this is so hard with a comedy. I kind of want to spoil the random things, but the random things are so great. Mm-hmm. But the random things that, like, I was explaining one of them to a friend, and they said, so what does that have to do with the plot? I said, nothing. It has nothing to do with the plot. But I just need to let you know about something involving binoculars. And it just is so funny and is so random. And that is definitely, I think, the connective tissue between this and Barb and Star is the best stuff is the, wait, what? After they establish, like you said, this is not that type of kids movie. This is not Incredible Journey, though that's very much the narrative that they're doing. Yeah, like that type of thing where it's like we're going on an adventure, we're going on a quest to bite someone's penis off. I don't think it sustains itself enough beyond that. I think it relies too much on, can you believe these dogs are swearing as much as they are. And sometimes it's funny, and then sometimes it feels more strained. Beyond the two main characters, both Hunter and Maggie, I liked okay, but I didn't think there was enough of them to really get invested in them.
Mm-hmm.
And of the two main characters, I actually think Jamie Foxx is really good. I don't know how he would be as the voice for Baxter for you, but I actually think that in this movie, he is legitimately really funny.
Yeah.
I think Will Ferrell is just okay. It's funny that you mentioned
Aw.
the elf thing, because I definitely thought about Elf as well.
Totally.
While watching this movie, I wouldn't say I'm tired of Will Ferrell or over Will Ferrell, but I find that as he gets into middle age, I don't know if he is as sharp and as funny as he used to be. I really liked Spirited quite a lot, and I thought that was a really fun movie.
And a stretch for him because he just sing and dance, right?
Yes, and I thought it was really that was really fun and interesting. This felt a little more expected, I have to say, and it kind of disappointed me. Whereas Jamie Foxx, I think, really brings it. I think he's really good.
He finds the musicality in those tirades, right?
Yeah.
Like there's such a great energy to them. Like you keep riding like wave after wave of what he's saying. But they got to actually record together in the same room, which is unusual, right? For voiceover work. Like the four of them were all together sometimes, but the two of them were always together, and they're riffing off each other. And that plays well together, that energy.
Yeah, because I think Jamie Foxx is a master at swearing, and when he swears, it's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Will Ferrell doesn't swear as much, and other characters swear too, but Jamie Foxx actually, I think, makes it funny on an almost consistent basis. The heart stuff that you mentioned is definitely there. Because I'm a terrible human being, I did not cry during the movie, but there is emotional stuff in the movie. I just think it's not super sharp. I thought of you several times while watching the movie, Christy, because not just because you have Baxter, but because the producers are Lord and Miller.
Yeah.
And earlier this year, they had produced Cocaine Bear, which I know you are also more of a fan of than I am. And I do wonder if there is a connective tissue between the two movies, because in both cases, I found like the premise was really fun, but I didn't know if it kind of fully executed it. And in both cases, they worked for you. So I think if people who are watching / listening to this, if you responded to Cocaine Bear and enjoyed the irreverence of that, you're probably more Team Christy, and you will like Strays. If you were like me with Cocaine Bear and like, yeah, it's kind of funny, but maybe not funny enough, you may be more on my side with Strays. I mean, it's funny because like we talk so much about there aren't original ideas in movies, and everything's based on something, intellectual property, comic book, whatever it is. Not for nothing, this is an original story idea, and so I do give the movie a little bit of credit and props for that. I was trying to think of a comparison of a movie like this that I really liked, and I went back to Sausage Party, which was also a
one-joke movie. Yes.
One-joke movie, R-rated.
Yeah.
It looks like a kid's movie, but it's
Right.
definitely not a kid's movie. Came out in August as well. That movie I found consistently funny because in terms of its world building, I found that it built its world really well and then expanded it and kept building on the joke. And this one, I feel like it didn't expand beyond its premise enough to really, really like it.
See, I thought they got enough new avenues into that one joke that I enjoyed it. And it's such a short movie that like it does not overstay its welcome. And usually I'm not a big fan of like poop and pee jokes, but they're not all entirely puerile. Like there's one poop joke that actually makes a whole lot of sense strategically. That I was very impressed by, like the way that they crafted that whole setup. So anyway, again, your mileage may vary on this canine road trip, but I was a sucker going in, so I really liked it. And I thought the effects were really pretty great. And like the dog performances were all, and the trainers, of course, were all pretty great. The Boston Terrier mouth movements were a little weird for me sometimes, a little inconsistent and like a little jumpy. But I thought like all the talking dog stuff looked totally realistic because I expect realism in my talking dog movies, and I don't think that's too much to ask.
I gave it a 5 because, again, I have no heart and I'm a terrible, terrible human being.
I'm going to say a 7.9. If you see one talking dog movie this summer, make sure that it Strays. All right, Tim, you're the best. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.